Greetings, this is George Rhymes again with clip 2 concerning Reverend Martin Luther King holiday that we read in the Valdosta Times about the day. Headlines: MLK event begins New Year's Day. I want to do another clip. I believe in keeping the people in South Georgia and North Florida fully informed. So I'm going to regress to let you all know that though myself, George Buster Rhymes, and John Robinson may not participate in many of the Martin Luther King events, but we are indeed keeping the dream alive. It's just that we do it in a different manner. January of last year, I was in Atlanta, Georgia at the beginning of the year when I got a call from Brooks County when the G.B.R. arrested 10 Brooks County citizens for alleged voter fraud. And when they called me, I began to call civil rights leaders to try to get them involved, to know what was going on in Brooks County. And then when we got back after assisting the equipment team in the best way that we knew how, and we marched. We were at the march and we published information that the local Equipment Free Press and other newspapers did not publish. They ignored. But we were on the scene, and KVCI and blogspot.com, we did what we do because we want you informed. And so today is no different. So I want you to know that though we don't participate in the traditional useless celebrations as I see it on many levels, but there is some good in everything. And so the article in the Valdosta-Lowndes Times, I've talked about that in clip 1. So now I want to talk about when we got back to here to South Georgia from Atlanta. We went to Rosewood and we did a big work down in Rosewood. Of course, the local Valdosta-Lowndes Times and the local TV station never reported what we did in Rosewood. My friend John Robinson and myself, that was a picture when we was in Rosewood last January with the famous psychologist Marvin Dunn at Rosewood, wherein investors came down and over 100 people in attendance, and pictures were taken, and you can see that on my blog, or just Google Mary Turner. I wasn't at the breakfast and the eatings and the lunchings and the drinking and etc. at King services, because I don't think that fulfilled the dream, nor does it carry on the dream of Dr. King. I believe in doing something tangible, like the trip that we made to Rosewood in January. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, we just got back from Rosewood. Some people from the Orlando University called me and said, Mr. Ryan, will you do a tour with some of the students at the university there? And of course we consented. We don't get travel pay, but we journeyed down there and we had a beautiful event, and the children was very impressed with it. Miss Felisa McNair was there, and another professor from the university. And so we did that, and to us, to Dr. Robinson and myself, that's carrying on the dream of Dr. King. And before we went down 2 weeks ago, I was called from the videos I put online about Walmart Stores Incorporated mistreating and terminating workers, wherein they don't have rights to have their grievances heard within Walmart Stores Incorporated. And so I've cut over 80 videos, and it's on YouTube. And somebody called me and they paid my way down to Bentonville, Arkansas, and I was down there 4 days to help Walmart get their act together in terms of treating people right. But you don't know nothing about that, because here in South Georgia, the newspapers and television stations don't count that as news. And so you are left deaf, dumb, and blind to the times, and you don't know nothing about that. Also, we were really dealing with stopping corporate greed. That's what we were involved with, which was carrying on the dream, I believe, of Dr. King. And so we journeyed down there, 141 of us from around the country. In other words, Walmart stores from Texas, Washington, D.C., all across the nation. And we marched on Bentonville, the home of Walmart Stores Incorporated. And Mike Duke refused to meet with us. He's already ignored me for almost 4 years. And so I'm going to stay on that. But to me, that is really a part of carrying on the dream of Dr. King, not just meeting once a year or twice a year to show that you believe in the man by eating and drinking and dancing and talking and getting along, but I'm talking about actually getting out in the field and doing something tangible. And I'm not criticizing anyone, but all I'm saying about this man is that I believe in actually doing the work that Dr. King gave his life for. He tried to help somebody outside of himself. And when we got to Bentonville, we marched, I filmed, I recorded. That's a group here called Our Walmart, and Our Walmart is an organization that is set up to make things better for Walmart employees. Since they don't have any open door policy, they don't have unions, they don't even have an organization for mistreated workers to be heard. Therefore, workers are ignored at Walmart Stores Incorporated. And so what did I do? I became actively involved, trying to bring about a change. To me, that means more than assembling in groups of 500 or 1,000 people just to sit down and eat some chicken, fried chicken and roast chicken or barbecue turtle eggs. And so that's the thrust of my bus. And here again, once again, I'm not criticizing nor am I lifting myself up. But Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. And when you know better, you ought to do better. And that's what I do. And you don't know nothing about the fact that I received all these letters over the years because I stood up for the 30 jail deaths that have occurred in the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail. Not just for black folk, but let me hide her face. Let me hide her face. Let me hide her face. But this particular white lady right here, if you can see it, her teeth was knocked out in the Lowndes County Jail. I brought it before the mayor and city elected officials, and they didn't say not one word in terms of, well, we care about her, we are concerned about her. They didn't say nothing. But yet this is living the dream of Dr. King for George Boston Rhymes. This is one of the 2 gouges on her legs. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about that. And then, in addition to that, I stood before the mayor and council, John Freddy, and I showed them this particular board that I prepared to show that that's a long ongoing practice at the Valdosta and Lowndes County Jail. 2,500 people marched. The Justice Department are aware of all these problems that we have had in Lowndes County, but nothing and nobody seems to care. Not the governor, not the Secretary of State, not the Department of Justice. Nobody seems to care. We have had 30 deaths. 30. No 60 Minutes, no 48 Hours, no CNN, no MSNBC, no CBS, no WA. Nobody seemed to care about these human beings. But had it been in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, or Pakistan, or Afghanistan, somebody would have reported something. So there is something wrong under our form of government. And so we can sit back and keep placating and duplicating and imitating others that did so much to bring things about in our community, and we just show and tell because we want to be in the limelight. But when it comes down to doing the work of Joseph Lowry, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or have it like Senator Robert Brown came to Quitman to see what the Quitman 10 arrest was all about, very few of us will come to that. And y'all have to excuse me if I'm trying to be extremely careful. I don't want to show that young lady's face because nobody seems to care. And so no need of exposing her when nobody will take on the issues of what's going on in South Georgia. And so there are people who criticize Muslims. Malcolm X, another great leader, he didn't just get out and eat chicken, fried chicken, and he was busy. Although even from behind bars in prison, he still did a job. He still did a work. It's not about the show and tell. It's not about coming together and imitating and duplicating what our great black and white right leaders accomplished during their lifetime. But it's what are we doing? And we know that when, because of the way the news media is today, If Dr. King was back in the field today working as he did in the 60s, the news media learned something from the days of old. They don't even report the news now. They got you now. They won't even report the news. That's why you're so ignorant. That's why you're so deaf. That's why you're so dumb. Because there's a dumbing down of the American people, and most of us don't have enough intellect to realize what they're doing to us. They are making us dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. Because the dumber you are, the easier you are to be controlled. Yeah. So guess what? There are people in Walmart like myself. I was terminated under the heading, let me repeat, I was terminated under the heading from Walmart Stores Incorporated, department managers and sporting goods, as inability to perform job. That's what they gave, inability to perform job at store 2615. But check this. There's a 4-week training program consisting of at least 34 pages. They did not give me not one page of it. And it was mandatory to be initial, date, and signed off. And the last 2 pages were verification that the training has been done. They didn't give it to me. And there are other people, department managers, co-managers, assistant managers done told me Walmart don't even answer their workers. They told me that before I sent them my first letter. Today I've sent 38 letters and they still refuse to answer me. President Mike Duke, Chairman of the Board of Directors David Glass, they all boldly ignore me. And the 13 to 15 board of the members on YouTube, I present the facts and they still ignore me. What are you saying, Brother Rance? I'm saying to you that the American people are living in so much fear today that people that's working in babies' formula factories where they make baby formula could know that they were putting radiation. Look, listen, they can know, they can know, or if they knew that they were putting radiation or poison in your baby food, they wouldn't say nothing because they were too afraid. They would be too afraid to tell the American people that that radiation was going into your baby food because they're living in fear. And that's what is happening in Walmart. There are people that have been terminated. There are co-managers, there are assistant managers in Walmart right now. But they won't say nothing because they're afraid as hell. They are afraid. And so we'll get together and duplicate and imitate, but can't relate to the actual work of Dr. King. And so we'll get together and have a peaceful ceremony because there ain't no threat. Nobody gonna bother you for just having a little once a month, twice a month ceremony for this man. But when you start standing for what that man stood for, then that puts you in a different category. Yeah. So we can sit back as Americans and as Georgians and let Saxby Chambliss and all these elected officials and Jack Kingston sit in office in the state of Georgia and still have an at-will to work law enforcement where they can fire you for good cause, bad cause, or for no cause at all, and you sit there like a knot on a log and don't say nothing and keep voting them right back in the office like you're a damn fool. Excuse the French. I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I'll say it thrice. We're going to lose this republic because we all are living in fear. Sad day, y'all. It's a really, really sad day. But as I said, one day the day going to come when they're going to be putting poison in your grits, poison in your coffee, poison in the food that you eat, poison in the homes that you live in, through certain types of material, and the people that know it won't, they are not going to say nothing because they're afraid. And so people are going to die. They're going to die because we don't care. But the people of yesterday, such as Dr. King and others, they refuse to let you die. They refuse to let you perish. They refuse to let people continue to put poison in our water. John Robinson right now We are fighting and have made some inroads against some of the hundreds of thousands of dollars that come into the city that have been going to other people, but not to the disadvantaged people for which it was designed for from the federal government. But you don't know nothing about that because the local news media in South Georgia won't tell you nothing about it. And so you remain deaf, dumb, and blind to the times. Dick Gregory, another freedom fighter. He didn't just sit back and imitate and duplicate. He was one of the most wanted men on the FBI wanted list during the civil rights struggle. He didn't just meet. Another picture, Al Parson of the Lake Park Post. When nobody else would talk about the crimes and the alleged deaths in the Lowndes County Jail, this white European man stood up and helped hope black folk and their children, but the preachers didn't stand with him. Lee Touchton, president of the NAACP, I respect her more than most civil rights leaders that I know, especially here in Valdosta and Lowndes County in South Georgia and North Florida in general. He said, Brother Ram, why do you say that? Because it is the truth, and Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. Charles served in the military with me. He was sued, the two of them, by unknown persons, to tell you the truth, because they too didn't just get together and imitate and duplicate Dr. King, but they lived the life of Dr. King. They lived that life on a daily basis, and as a result they suffered the consequences. Somebody got to stand for truth today, or as Dr. King said, we all gonna perish and die as fools. Cynthia McKinney, you don't hear much about it in the news, but she's working. Why is she working? I took that picture with her in Atlanta. And I cherish this picture more. They got her out of office, but she was a strong force to be dealt with. And they knew that. They didn't want her in office. Why? Because Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. And the wicked don't want you free. They don't want you free. No, 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 no. They want you deaf, dumb, and blind for mind control. They just want you to go to church and talk about the life of Jesus and Moses and Muhammad and the son of Amram and Yoshabel Moses and forget about the world around you that you got to live in and that your children and your grandchildren are going to come up in. They don't want you to be concerned about that. They want you to focus on the hereafter while they get to while they benefit from the here and now and that which is, while you and me act stupid. God gave man dominion of this earth, and so because we sit back, others take the helm and they rule. Joseph Lowry, 90-some years old, he knows about the Quitman 10, and he sent people from Atlanta, Miss Ruffin, who picked up on some of my information on the internet. And while in Atlanta, I made connection with her, and eventually I was on TV up there, as well as called in on a local radio station in Atlanta to tell the story of the Quitman 10 and what they were going through, because the news was not getting out down here in South Georgia, and you still, for the most part, don't know, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. There is an apparent pattern in practice to keep the people of South Georgia ignorant. You say, Brother Rhymes, why do you say that? As I said on some of my other videos, there are some people, according to scriptures, as we believe in the King James Version that was written by Europeans, from which the original writing was from the African people in Africa. And while we're talking about Africa, let me say this. My name is not George Boston Rhymes. I don't know my name. I don't even know my lineage, because it was stripped from me, taken from me when I was kidnapped through my lineage. I don't have my name. I don't know my God. I really should be somewhere receiving psychiatric treatment. Stripped of my name, our God, our culture, our religion, the knowledge of self, and the history of my family connection. I have family in Africa, the lineage, and I don't know them because I was taken prisoner through the lineage of my forebears. So my name is not George Boston Rhymes, and just like the name Africa is not the name of that continent. And we need to know our history so we can free ourselves from his history and learn our own history. So our children will feel proud about who God made them, not what the slave masters and the people of the day made them and us. You got to know the truth. And this is why I believe Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free. Until you get truth, you can never be free. You will continue to duplicate and imitate Dr. King and what he did, but you will never become an active part of that great man. And so you become a game player. Africa is not the name of that continent. Africa was a European general. How many of you know that? They won't tell you that because they don't want you to know that. Because when you know that, then you'll know more about yourself. You'll know more about the greatness of yourself and your ancestors. And so, we're going to close this clip out now. No, before I close, one other thing. Living the King, the dream of Dr. King, mean going into the impoverished areas like I did some months ago, over a year ago. And when I went through and found these ill conditions, this is what I believe Dr. King would be pleased with. Although I don't take credit for it, because an elderly lady called me to tell me about what was going on. That's how I found out about it. And as a result, it was fixed. Most of them was fixed. But this means more to me in the community than any ceremony that we give on January the 1st or January the 15th or 16th. Children didn't have no place to play. Look at those splinters if you can see them. Splinters, glass, all in the play area, in the Hudson Docket area. But thank Almighty God that Brother Robertson and myself have made inroads. And now those disadvantaged people, hopefully, will be able to get some of the dollars that has been coming through their community. But they've been locked out for a long, long time. Now some of you may ask, Ryan, what is the thrust of your bus and what was the point you've been trying to make? Let me sum it up by saying this. We got to be real. We got to be about Jesus' business. Not just going to church every Sunday and Bible study on Wednesday night and prayer meeting and bear meeting on Friday night. But you can't say a kind word to your Caucasian brother that you meet every day. You can't say a kind word to the Latino you see down the street. You can't say a kind word to your own mother in a nursing home. You can't even say hi to your neighbor. You can't give up the right for the wrong sometimes. You just want to fight, fight, fight. Dr. King did what he did because he loved outside of himself. Jesus did what he did because he loved outside of himself. And these two men are only two. There were many others who gave their final and last ounce of breath to make things better for somebody outside of themselves. If you all are wondering why I get emotional sometimes and maybe why